The elevator doors slid open with a chime that echoed through the glass and marble sky lobby. The air was cold, perfumed with money and arrogance. I stepped out, calm, silent, the heels of my shoes tapping against the polished floor like quiet thunder. Then came that voice. Sharp. Familiar. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. Well, this is Rich. My stepmother, Evelyn, drawled from across the room, her diamond earrings catching the light as she turned. There's no staff entrance here, sweetheart. Leave before you embarrass yourself. Heads turned. Laughter rippled through the crowd like static, sharp, fake, cutting. A few guests tilted their champagne glasses, whispering behind manicured hands. I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I just kept walking. Security, Evelyn said sweetly, but loud enough for everyone to hear. Would you kindly escort her back to wherever she came from? The two uniformed guards exchanged uneasy looks and walked toward me. My pulse didn't rise. My fingers didn't tremble, because I knew exactly what was about to happen. One of the guards scanned the digital tablet on his wrist. The sound that followed, a crisp beep, shattered the tension. His voice dropped to something formal, almost reverent. "Ma'am," he said, straightening instantly. "Welcome back, Penthouse owner. Your estate-level access has been activated." The world froze. Evelyn's painted smile cracked, her glass slipping from her hand and shattering on the floor. Someone gasped. Another whispered, "Did he just say owner?" I turned to her, finally, meeting her eyes without a shred of hesitation. "You were right, Evelyn," I said quietly. "This isn't the staff entrance. It's mine." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I watched her face shift from confusion to rage to something close to fear. Behind her, my stepbrother, Chase, stammered, "That's not possible. Dad owns this building." "Not anymore," I said, taking a slow step toward them. "He sold his shares last month. Guess who bought them?" Silence. Pure, perfect silence. For years, I'd been the one standing at the edges of these rooms, invisible, the unwanted daughter, the inconvenience they tried to erase. But tonight, every flash of the chandelier reflected off my calm face, not theirs. Evelyn's voice finally cracked. "You think this little stunt makes you better than us?" I smiled faintly. "No. Just free." And as I walked past her, the guards held the elevator doors open for me. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The sound of my heels against the marble said everything they needed to hear. I was done being their embarrassment. I'd become their reminder. The private elevator opened with a soft chime, and the doors revealed a view most people only dreamed about. The entire city glittered beneath me, a skyline of silver and glass stretching endlessly across the horizon. I stepped inside, my heels sinking into the soft white carpet. It still smelled faintly of the ocean-scented candles Evelyn used to brag about on her social pages. How fitting. She'd lost everything she flaunted without even realizing it. For a moment, I let the silence wash over me. No yelling, no belittling, no manipulative smiles. Just peace. The kind I'd built myself. But peace never lasts long when the ghosts of your past are still alive. The doorbell rang once. Sharp. Demanding. I didn't even have to guess. When I opened the door, Evelyn stormed in first, her designer heels clicking like daggers against the floor. Behind her was my stepbrother, Chase, phone in hand, filming everything like he could spin this into another sympathy post for the ruined Pierce legacy. "You've humiliated us." Evelyn's voice dripped venom. "Do you have any idea what kind of storm you've caused tonight?" The entire board was there. "What stunt is this?" I leaned against the marble kitchen counter, arms crossed. "No stunt. Just a change in ownership." Chase scoffed, waving his phone. "Yeah, right. You couldn't afford the cleaning fees for this place, let alone buy it." "Funny," I said, tilting my head, "because your bank account balance right now is about $12. Want me to pull the receipts? He froze. Evelyn spun toward him. What is she talking about? Oh, don't act surprised, I said, walking slowly across the room. You two drained Dad's trust fund after I left, remember? Spent it on cars, vacations, cosmetic miracles, the usual distractions. I stopped near the window, where the city lights painted my reflection in gold and shadow. Meanwhile, I was building something real. Evelyn folded her arms, masking her unease with a sneer. You? Building something? What, a life coaching business? I smiled faintly. Try a data analytics company. Novometrics. I started it from a shared apartment. 3 years later, it's worth $75 million. Her laughter caught mid-breath. Chase's phone slowly lowered. I walked closer, my voice steady, sharp. I used to cry myself to sleep thinking about what you both did to me, taking my college fund, selling my mom's jewelry, locking me out of this building like I was nothing. That pain became fuel, and that fuel built this empire. You're lying, Evelyn said, her voice cracking. You always were dramatic. I nodded toward the glass wall behind me. Check the Strathmore deed records. Public access. You'll see one name, Aria Pierce Holdings. Evelyn's face went white. Aria Pierce, she whispered. I raised an eyebrow. You didn't even recognize my new LLC name? You really don't pay attention to anyone but yourself. Chase moved toward me, frustration turning his face red. You stole this. You stole. I interrupted. No. I earned it. Every sleepless night, every rejection, every insult from you people, it all brought me here. For a moment, no one spoke. The city hummed below us, a soft reminder that life kept moving, no matter who tried to stop me. Then Evelyn's mask cracked completely. Her voice trembled. Your father would never approve of this. I turned sharply. You mean the man who chose you over his daughter? Who let you throw me out of my own home at 19? Her eyes darted away. She didn't deny it. I took a deep breath, stepping closer until she had no choice but to look at me. He made his choice, Evelyn. And so did I. I chose to stop being your victim. You're ungrateful, she snapped, her composure crumbling. Everything you have, your upbringing, your education. My education? I cut her off with a bitter laugh. You mean the one I finished from a laptop in a library while working double shifts at a diner? You didn't give me a foundation, Evelyn. You gave me a reason to fight. Her lips trembled. She turned toward the door, muttering, You'll regret this. Maybe, I said, my tone calm but firm. But you'll remember it every time you drive past this building and realize the girl you tried to erase now owns your reflection. She froze for a beat, and then, without another word, walked out. Chase followed, silent, shoulders slumped. When the door closed, the quiet returned. I walked back to the window, resting my hand against the cold glass. The skyline glittered like a promise I'd kept to myself. I remembered every night I went to bed hungry. Every voicemail I ignored because I couldn't face another "you failed us" message. Every time I wondered if I'd ever be enough. Now I didn't need their validation. I had something far better. Peace and power born from pain. As the clock struck midnight, I whispered to my reflection, You did it. You made it out. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't over yet. Because people like Evelyn don't accept defeat quietly, and I wasn't about to let her destroy what I built again. Next time she came knocking, she wouldn't find a quiet girl. She'd find the woman who learned how to fight back. 3 days later, the headlines were still burning. Young CEO buys out family's luxury estate. Estranged daughter now owner of Strathmore Penthouse. Every business blog, every finance column had my name on it. Aria Pierce, the girl they once called a failure. But success doesn't come without noise. The louder the applause, the darker the whispers that follow. That morning, my assistant, Maya, rushed into my office with panic in her eyes. Aria, we have a problem. Someone leaked our private investor files, everything. It's all over the media. They're accusing Novometrics of fraud. My pulse spiked. I'd seen this tactic before. Smear first, destroy later. Who's the source? I asked quietly. Maya hesitated. The leak was traced back to an encrypted drive sent from Evelyn Pierce's address. For a second, everything went still. Then it hit. The familiar sting of betrayal, sharp as glass. Evelyn wasn't just trying to humiliate me anymore. She was trying to ruin me. Get our legal team on the line, I said. And bring me every email, every document she touched. Maya nodded and hurried out. I turned to the window. The same skyline that had once felt like my triumph now looked like a battlefield. Evelyn thought she was playing her usual game, power through gossip. But this wasn't the same Aria she'd crushed years ago. I'd built my company from dust and humiliation. I'd survived worse than her. That evening, as the city lights flickered below, I planned my move. If she wanted a war, I'd give her one, clean, legal, and devastating. 2 days later, Evelyn held her own press conference at a luxury ballroom downtown. I knew because every camera feed I tuned into showed her rehearsed tears and trembling voice. I only wanted to help my stepdaughter, she said to the reporters, clutching fake legal documents. But when I found out she used false reports to grow her company's value, I couldn't stay silent. It breaks my heart. Applause followed, shallow, obedient. Chase stood behind her, pretending to comfort her while glancing nervously at the cameras. I watched from the hallway just beyond the curtain. My lawyer stood beside me, phone in hand. Are you sure about this? He whispered. I smiled faintly. She wanted the spotlight. Let's make sure she gets it. We waited until the perfect moment, when every reporter's camera was aimed at her, waiting for a reaction. Then I walked out onto the stage. The room gasped. Microphones tilted in my direction. Evelyn's face turned white. Hi, everyone, I said calmly. Sorry for crashing the show. I just thought the audience deserved the full story. Evelyn's voice quivered. You can't just barge in. I can, I said, stepping up beside her. Because this event is being held in my hotel. Her expression faltered. The reporters shifted. I turned to the cameras. Since my stepmother decided to bring family business into the public, let me clarify something. Every document she's holding, I pointed at her trembling hands, is fake. And the data she tried to leak came from my company's decoy server. A legal trap designed to expose internal sabotage. Gasps spread through the room. Chase's phone dropped to the floor. Evelyn's painted composure cracked entirely. I raised my voice slightly, calm but deadly. You see, when you've been betrayed before, you learn. You stop trusting words, and you start watching patterns. So, when someone close to me tried to access our investor network last week, I let them. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the projector, and played the recording, time-stamped footage of Evelyn's assistant emailing a file labeled Novametrics_confidential straight from Evelyn's device. The room erupted in chaos. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Evelyn stumbled back, eyes wide, shaking her head. This is manipulated. I didn't let her finish. You said you wanted the truth, I said coldly. Well, here it is. You tried to destroy my company because you couldn't stand that I rebuilt myself without you. You taught me to fight dirty, and now you're choking on your own lessons. Her knees buckled, and Chase caught her by the arm, but the cameras caught everything, her tears, her panic, her humiliation. Aria, please, she whispered. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, I said, lowering my voice. You couldn't handle the idea that I became everything you said I'd never be. So you tried to drag me back down. But I don't live in your world anymore, Evelyn. I built my own. The crowd exploded in murmurs. Reporters shouted, Aria, will you be pressing charges? I turned to face them, my expression calm, composed. No. I don't need to destroy her life. I just needed the world to see what she tried to do. And with that, I left. Outside, as the cool night air hit my face, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. My phone buzzed a message from Maya. Stock prices rising again. Public supports with you. I smiled faintly. Not out of triumph, but closure. Some revenge doesn't come from shouting or punishment. It comes from standing tall, while the ones who broke you crumble under their own lies. And as I got into my car, the reflection in the rearview mirror showed me someone new, not the girl who once begged for approval, but the woman who finally learned she never needed it. The days after the press conference felt surreal. News outlets replayed the footage nonstop. Evelyn's trembling denial, my calm response, the proof that ended her reputation overnight. The woman who once ruled every social circle in Manhattan was now the subject of whispers and disgrace. But one person hadn't spoken since that day, my father. He hadn't called, hadn't texted, hadn't said a word. Until tonight. At 9:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a single message. Meet me at the old house. We need to talk. For a moment, my hands went cold. That house, the one I'd been thrown out of years ago, the one where Evelyn's words had cut deeper than any knife. I stared at the message, heart steady, no anger this time, just clarity. The driveway looked the same. Same cobblestone path, same towering gates, same cold wind that smelled like money and guilt. I stepped out of my car, the sound of my heels echoing through the quiet. My father was waiting on the porch. The once powerful businessman looked smaller somehow, older, grayer, and tired in a way arrogance couldn't hide. He didn't move as I approached. He just said softly, "You've made quite a name for yourself." "I had to," I said, my tone calm. "You left me no choice." He exhaled, rubbing his hands together. "You've embarrassed this family." I almost laughed. "No, Dad. Evelyn did that. I just stopped cleaning up her mess." He flinched. His silence said everything. The guilt, the cowardice, the years of pretending he didn't see how cruel she was. "I saw the video," he finally said. "You planned all that?" "I planned to survive," I replied quietly. "The rest just happened." He looked away, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. "I didn't know what she was doing to you back then." "Yes, you did," I said. "You just didn't care enough to stop it." The words landed heavy between us. He swallowed hard, but I didn't look away. He sighed. "You're angry. I understand that." I shook my head. "No, I'm not angry anymore. I'm done." His eyes snapped up to me, surprised, maybe even scared. "I came here because I needed to hear it from you," I continued. "Did you ever regret it? Letting her throw me out like trash?" He hesitated. Then, softly, "Every day." For a second, my chest tightened. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that behind the years of silence there was something human left. But I'd learned the hard way that some people only feel sorry when they lose control. I turned toward my car. "Then live with that regret, Dad." "I already forgave myself, Arya." I stopped and looked back one last time. "You taught me something important," I said. "That love without respect isn't love. It's control." And I stopped being controlled the moment I walked out that door. His shoulders slumped. "You sound just like your mother," he whispered. I smiled faintly. "That's the best thing you've ever said to me." As I drove away, the mansion faded in the rearview mirror, swallowed by city lights. The skyline of Manhattan reappeared ahead, the place where I'd lost everything and rebuilt it from ashes. Maya's message popped up on my screen. "The investors want to rename the foundation in your honor, the Arya Initiative. For women who start over." A small smile touched my lips. "Do it," I typed back. The car glided through the night as I whispered to myself, "Let the past stay buried." Because the sweetest revenge wasn't money or headlines. It was peace, the kind that comes when the people who once looked down on you finally have to look up. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the girl who'd been thrown out. I felt like the woman who'd finally come home.